Good people, did you know that there are folks who don't apply for jobs, don't even look for business opportunities? Opportunities just come to them. They are on the Headhunters list. How do you get yourself on the Headhunters list? Well, we'll be telling you that and a lot more only on the Headhunter Show.
Hi, I'm Michael Aldridge. I'm the founder and CEO of KOFISI. And I'm going to be talking to you about three things. Number one, why all companies should really be considering flexible workspace as the solution for their work environment. Number two, I'm going to be talking about the impact that flexible workspace really has on your teams and why having really stimulating and sophisticated workspaces can increase the productivity of your business. And number three, I'm going to be talking to you about KOFISI and how we do things differently, making sure that all our members have a great day at work as they experience hospitality-led services and environments. Welcome to the Headhunter.
We begin this episode with a conversation about what are the trends looking at like on the future of work. So there's been a lot of conversation about working from home, working in flexi spaces, and we're honored to have none other than the CEO and co-founder of KOFISI, that's Michael Aldridge, with us. Take a look at his profile. Ladies and gentlemen, here goes Michael. Thank you for being here with us.
Yeah, well, thanks very much for coming to visit us.
And it's really an interesting space, I must say. And we've gone around, and what you're saying is that you're expanding and expanding. You put it at 40% growth. That is as of last year.
Yes, that's correct.
What's this appetite we're seeing?
Well, it's quite fantastic. Certainly, there was a huge change in thinking prior to the global pandemic, but now with the knock-on effects of COVID, there's been this giant global work experiment about what is work balance. Where do you need to be? Do you need to be at home? Do you need to be in the office? And I think that's led now to more companies needing to engage with different formats about how they're going to work. And what that is now doing is adding even more momentum to a movement that was already there. The flexible workspace market has grown 13 times its size over the last 10 years across the world. There are many millions of people who are using flexible work environments. But what's now happening is more companies are starting to adopt this idea. The sector itself, co-working, can really range from an individual right up to a company. And although not a huge difference, they are nuanced in the way that the demands of a business who wants to come into a flex environment versus an individual, they vary. But what we're finding now is that more and more companies are realizing that they can deliver their workspace through better, more expert work environments by coming to work with experts. And that has led to this enormous amounts of demand. And specifically here on this continent and in the city of Nairobi, we've seen tremendous interest and growth and demand, which we still believe there's so much more to do.
Let's look at the COVID effect on this, because I think the last 2 years have been really critical in kind of, going through this decision of, whether to go this flexi way and what have you. So what has COVID contributed to the growth of this?
So, as we said, I think there's been a huge experiment that as an operator inside the industry, this has been an amazing thing for us, because companies have understood that they don't necessarily have to be proximate to each other to be able to deliver productive work. Our whole goal with KOFISI was to create productive work environments. We do that by offering a range of services, but notably we're giving a consistent, high quality, stimulating work environment. We're very different, as you can see when you're sitting in this room now. We're very much a hotel, hospitality-led model as well, making sure that you have everything you need to be able to get on with your main job. But what then happened with COVID was that companies started to realize that perhaps they don't need principles like one desk per person, rotational teams started to become of interest. But what they have all realized is no matter, you can't be at the extremes if everyone works at home. Some businesses have done that very well. There are some amazing stories of certain technology businesses that have gone 100% work from home. But if you actually think about it through the annals of time, religion has taught us that you still need to come together once a week and reaffirm your faith. And so companies coming together to reaffirm their cultural faith, what they stand for is really important. And that's where we come in, because what we can do is we can offer them everything they need when they come in for that day. We can flex their size dependent on how many people they want to have at any one time. And if they decide to change to 100% one desk per person, they can do that with us as well.
Because the worry, especially for a CEO or senior leader, will be that I might not have a clear line of sight into how my team is looking. For instance, if I just have them, strewn all over or not under one organization or in our headquarters, for instance.
Correct. I mean, every entrepreneur who's listening to our conversation will know that business is not a straight line. It's a roller coaster, right? And even when it goes well, that sometimes can be the worst scenario when it comes to resource planning. Because I know when I set my first business up, I won a big contract and then I didn't have enough space, which meant I had to move to other offices, but I had a long lease on a smaller space and that was then disconnected. So it didn't allow me to be dynamic. And part of my drive to build this business in Africa was because I'd seen how this kind of service can improve business productivity in the European environment. And I believe that this was a service that was required here. And so, I think it's a very interesting journey for the CEO. And we were talking earlier, and there's always going to be a board discussion about your investment in your workspace.
Yeah, actually, it's coming to that in the sense of so you have a conversation right now, and of course, people are going back to work. It's a new year. There's a lot of energy, and the conversation comes on the table in a board meeting, for instance, that hey, between the CEO, the CFO, for instance, and maybe the head of people, that should we go the flex way? Should we scale down on our investments? Yeah. So take us through that process. How will they think about it? Whether or not to actually invest in an entire building as a headquarters versus going the flexi way.
Anyone who is coming out of their lease cycle now, during the next election cycle, if you will, sort of 4 to 5 years, every single one of them is going to consider whether making a long-term investment into their space through a long lease in a conventional space makes any sense at all. I think they're all terrified of, because one thing you must remember is that next to people, your office cost is your second biggest line item on your profit and loss, okay? And that's a really important point. When you then look at it and you consider all of the costs, and this is where sometimes the education is required, when you actually look at all costs, which bridges both the capital expenditure budget and the operating expenditure budget, you add those together and you consider that total cost plus the inefficiencies of time, the inefficiencies of space, the inefficiencies of buying, because they're not experts in this. We do this on a day-to-day basis. And if you have a wobbly tooth, you go to a dentist. You don't attempt to try and pull that out yourself. I mean, you could, but it would be awkward. Yeah, well, and there we go. And therein lies the analogy, because we know how to deliver space. My team lives for space, loves space, and we've learned so much over the 10 years we've been operating in these markets to ensure that the proposition and the space, right, and the service is at the highest level possible. So the cost is cheaper. And you're quite right, those are the three discussions. It's the CEO, the CFO, and the head of people. And I think the trump card now has really become, the cost savings are compelling, which is education, but the real trump card has been that the investment by companies in their people and their wellness, which is a very, very important theme now for companies in its most basic sense, but also because the differential between businesses can sometimes be quite small. If you look at any industry where there are duopolies or they're a small team in the higher league, how do you differentiate yourself from your competitors? And one of those has to be that you give amazing work experience, workspace.
Well, that has been our episode with Michael Aldridge, CEO and co-founder of KOFISI Africa. Honored to have been here. My name is Laban Cliff. Be sure, of course, to catch this on our social media platforms across the Standard Media Group.